Hi everyone, I'm Harrison, and welcome back to the 10 Ways to Survive Life in a Quarantine podcast. Today I'm here with Nicole. If you could introduce yourself, just give like name, even though I just said that, name, characters, like which section of the show you're in. Yeah.
Hi, I am Nicole Siegler, and I play Josie in 10 Ways to Survive Life in a Pandemic. And I'm playing two characters, but I start off with Josie, and I believe she's the third way out of all 10,
Yeah,
and
it's like
she's like,
perform musicals with your pets.
yes, so very fun role, yeah.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. My role is in that section, or one of my roles is in that section too. Um, I play Cameron. He's pretty fun. But yeah, that this is you're like the person for this section. So
Thank you.
it's a weird section. But yeah, it's pretty wacky. But could you just give like a simple rundown of like your character, your monologue without like any like huge spoilers, but like anything like that?
Yeah, totally. In terms of just like physical and emotional traits of Josie, she's like really bubbly. We've had to take like a lot of character tests and work on that. So I've decided that she's an extrovert. She's very bubbly. I mean, if she's doing this play musical, The Phantom of the Opera, with her dog, she's quite something, I guess you could say. In terms of the scene, Josie's just performing the Fuzzball of the Opera, a spoof on the Phantom of the Opera with her dog. And that's just the scene. Yeah, very dramatic, very funny.
Yeah, it's a fun one, and you are so talented, Nicole, and you
Thank
do it
you so
so
much. You are too.
um and little spoiler, Nicole sings and she has the most beautiful voice ever, so look out for that. Um but yeah, this is a wacky section. It's pretty weird. Okay. So, here is just like a little sorry. Okay. So here's a little like fun question I like to start off with. Um like just a really simple one. Like do you think you would be friends with your character, or like do you think you would like them, like be in the same friend group, click? Like that's just a fun question I like to ask.
Yeah, definitely a fun question. I think I think yes. I feel like I'm at different levels of friends, I guess you could say, where I'm like really close with specific people, and then I'll talk to them in the halls. I feel like Josie and I would probably be like, "Oh, it's good to see you," and we might hang out at lunch or something, but not like super close. But I definitely like I think our energies are the same in terms of just being really excited, and we both love theater and to sing. So definitely friends. I don't know about close friends though.
Yeah, I think I would want to be friends with Josie too.
Sweet,
um,
yeah, pretty cool.
but yeah. Okay, so about like Josie, um, I think just okay, here's another fun question to get us warmed up into like the more serious ones, but like I always love to ask this question. Pretty much all the interviews I've done, I think I've asked this question. But okay. Um Do you have like an unwritten backstory? Like, I love to make these for my characters. Like, what clique she would be in, who she would be friends with, what she would like, what she wouldn't like. Because I think it's just so fun to make those with your characters, especially if they're like you sort of just gotta like fill in the blanks from the script. So, do you have like anything like that you think about Josie when you?
I definitely well in my head, like I haven't set down like necessarily like all of the things like the food she doesn't like and the foods
Oh
she
yeah,
likes.
yeah.
But like in terms, I definitely think she's an only child, so she's a wee bit lonely, I guess you could say. Um, yeah, that's I just kind of imagine her as just kind of this. She's extremely extroverted, and she's also the only child, so like quarantine has been super hard on her because she can't like connect with her friends, so she's resorted to connecting with her dog and making musicals. So yeah, definitely just outgoing, only child, kind of lonely sometimes, I guess, too, because she doesn't have any siblings to mess around with or anything.
Yeah, I don't know if I was the only one, but when I was little, I would like to put on like shows with my sisters and stuff. So I guess that's her with her dogs. I have two little.
That's the whole thing I did with my siblings too. It was a total stage. Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah. Okay. Well, I know. Well, you. This is your first year at DSA, so like I guess you didn't really like hear about this as much, but like we were supposed to do Guys and Dolls because normally it's like an eighth grade musical, and I would have loved to do Guys and Dolls, but this show is pretty fun too. So like because it's in quarantine and it's on Zoom, I also know that you do a lot of theater like work. Like how has this like experience like been different for you or like been interesting or what have you learned from it so far because we're only so far into the process. But like just actually it's kind of we're kind of getting down to the wire. But like just how has this been different for you and like what have you learned from this? Like with it being on
Um,
Zoom and online. Sorry.
yeah, totally. In terms, so I mean, there's obviously like, I wouldn't want to say positives or negatives about a specific show, but it definitely is different, like doing a show online because as a new kid, I would really love to like work with more of my classmates and peers for the show. So that's definitely like a setback, but I definitely like using the Zoom platform and being online because the show is super funny. And I know like I'm doing Grease right now at a different theater company, and it's like really hard to do like the songs and choreography obviously like online too. I love how this show online, well, it's basically you have to do online because it's meant for that. It'd be hard to do in person, which is nice, so you can kind of from anywhere. And I love how creative it is, so like definitely just like the 10 ways to like the steps, that's different from the shows I've done before. So definitely like all in all, it's a funny different show that's awesome. I love it. I love doing it.
Yeah. It's a fun one. I think it's a really fun show. It's really, really wacky and you get to meet I think that the characters are just so fun. Like, cause as they're so not unrealistic, but they're like these people who are taken to such extremes in the writing that I think it's so fun to perform them because it's so big and like not over that's not the right word but like so like large and these characters are just so extravagant and they're taken to such extremes and it's just so fun to do. um
Yeah, definitely. And
yeah.
to add on to that, I feel like though, like what you said, because they're so extreme and extravagant, some of the things are like, oh, like that's very interesting. They're very wacky, as you said, but I also think they also reflect everyone in a different way. Obviously, like if you're an introvert, you might not relate to Josie or Cameron, for example, but like I definitely think for some things I was like, oh, I definitely did this. Like, so I definitely think that parts of the show are taken to like reflect parts of us and then make them on an extreme level so we can laugh about it and have fun, which is really cool about the show as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's these characters are so fun to play. I if anyone who's like listening to this podcast, um, you hopefully you come see our show. But it's so fun. It's so funny and just so out there and that sounds bad. No, like so big and like all of us like we are taken like it definitely is out of my comfort zone as an actor I think so that has been nice to like have that challenge because I'm normally not like huge big personality actually well I am in real life but like that's not always how I like just like take my acting so I think that's just been a challenge for me but also that's so amazing and I just think that these characters are just so cool in general and so fun but
Definitely, yeah.
yeah um but okay. So, okay. Okay. So, this process has been like really, really, I think it's really enjoyable, so far. I think that it's been a lot of fun getting to produce the show. Um, and like from the first read through till now, like all of us have. I think my acting is definitely in little bits grown, but like also I think in general I'm saying this to like go off of a question, but like I guess my question is like what moments of like the process of this have been hard for you or even like your favorite parts of this process? Because I know that whilst we don't get to be in person, there still has been so much that's like been grown. Even like on Fridays, like with Maddie Barr, I think like building our ensemble as a whole, like do you have any like favorite parts or like hardest parts of like this process for you?
So you mentioned Maddie Barr. Do you mean like the overall process of like doing theater online, or just like the show? I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, like, I meant like Maddie Bars and like building our class, I guess, as a whole, because I think that's a huge part of the eighth grade musical too, because it's like
Yeah.
our ensemble going into high school, and our ensemble is going to grow next year because we're getting a lot of new people. But I think specifically this show, like, just like how this has been like the challenges of like, I guess, this process.
Um. Oh yeah. So the process. I love the process. I think. I have definitely grown in terms of just like changing my point of view and seeing that like theater does not always have to be like in front of a live audience, like with people, like you're on a stage. I definitely think that has definitely changed my view on theater. And the process is really cool because like I like getting to work with different directors and having them give me notes, especially because they're TA, so they're not adults. So I like hearing their point of views and then working together because they're definitely really flexible and they say, are you comfortable with this? You want to change this? So yeah, it's definitely been a really cool process. It is, I mean, the difficult parts would probably be, like I said before, like working online, not necessarily like working with the cast, but that's basically it. I think change as an actor is really, really important and crucial to our development because we're like being well diverse in all different types of acting and all different types of the platforms in which we do the performances. So I definitely think like working on Zoom too is really crucial for us to grow. Yeah, and it's awesome. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah, it's I keep saying the word fun, but it really has been. I just think, yeah, it's been like a crazy, and like, no offense to hand, but I think we were all a little bit hesitant when we first read the script because of how out there it is. But I think all of us have learned to love it. I think, especially me and you, or I'm not speaking for you, but you seem to very much love the script, and I do too. And I love my character, and I think they're so much fun. And I think that, like, whilst we all knew going into this was going to be hard and really weird, I think we've done it pretty well, and I think that this show is going to be pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but
Definitely.
yeah. Okay, well, going more into, like, sort of like you and, like, some other fun elements. I know that the whole plot of the show, or point of the show, I should say, is sort of just talking about these different people and how they've learned to cope with quarantine and what they've done, and like a lot. Pretty, they're all going insane. But like, I'm just wondering, like, are there any like what has helped you get through quarantine, or like what has been the challenges, ups and downs of quarantine for you?
Oh, it's interesting like talking about it now because I can't remember what I did last March. It's been a year. But let's see, probably spending time with family. I know like growing up, especially now, I was like a little bit hesitant, still am, about spending time with family because like it's definitely different like having like spending time with them all the time because you're quarantined or you're on lockdown or something like that. So getting helping me to get through quarantine was probably like movie night, friends that I can hang out with my family, which is really nice. And of course, watching movies. I like cannot tell you how many shows I binge watched, how much ice cream was gone by the end of this lockdown. It was crazy.
Okay, well, that could answer because that leads into my next question. Like, are there any like hobbies that you've picked up, or like you mentioned movie watching, like any shows or movies that I should put on my list?
Uh,
Like any hobbies or anything, or like anything like that?
hmm. um, well, I love reading, and I think that during the lockdown, especially because like with quarantine, for me, I was ending like my last semester at my old school, and then I went to DSA, so that was different too. So for that time being like the end of last year, I definitely had like a lot of time because we were trying to figure things out. I had a lot of time to read, which was nice. So yeah, definitely. And then writing too, just like kind of journaling about quarantine, or just when you write, you can escape from all that too. So like you can go into your own fantasy. So I did a lot of that. And in terms of shows, I like I binge watched Gossip Girl. So I like recommend that. It was a pretty good show. Um, yeah, I watch a lot of movies too, like Hobbs and Shaw, some action movies like that with my dad and brother. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm always looking for some good TV and movie recommendations. I'm a huge. Actually, I'm not because I don't watch very good movies. Like a lot of the classics I haven't seen, but my family is big on movie nights. So we have definitely done that a lot. I don't know if I would necessarily suggest any of the movies we've watched because a lot of them have been pretty bad. But I feel like it's fun to always watch a bad movie every once in a
Yeah.
while.
So then you can like joke around with your family about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sorry, I had 1 second. Um, okay. Um, so after all like of this, um, if you had like I know like the whole point of this is like the different sections and like what people are. If you had a section in the show, I know we just talked about movies, but like if you had a section in the show, do you have a like idea of what you think it would be about or like what you think your section or if you fit into a section of the show or anything like that?
Hmm. Um, I believe there's a section in the show about like technology, unfortunate events.
Yeah.
That is funny. Every time I like hear those lines, I can't help but laugh. The one where Anya, I think her character is, her phone gets taken away. I think that I definitely connect to that one the most. Because I mean, full disclosure, like over quarantine, I feel like I've definitely been on my electronics more. I'm trying to go outside and read more or something like that, but like at the beginning it was definitely hard. So like when my precious phone was taken away by my mom, I definitely was like, oh, my world is over now, I cannot connect with my friends or anything. So like in terms of that, yeah, I definitely connect with that like unfortunate situation from the show.
Yeah, I definitely have relied a lot on technology, especially because I know both you and me uh and Josie are all very much extroverted. And when you're extroverted, you get your energy from other people. And I definitely have been struggling with that, with like not being able to see friends and stuff like that. So I know that's been really hard for me too, sometimes not having that, like that being that only source of communication and relying on that so much. But yeah, and I mean, we're getting back to normal little by little, but
Slowly, piece by piece, yeah.
yeah, but okay. So going into like a little bit of like a different world, with this show, Miss Han. Actually, this is part of this journey. We've been working on marketing our show in Us to people who might not necessarily have seen the show or like decided to come to the show, like people who necessarily don't go to DSA. And I know that's one of the reasons we opened the podcast that you're listening to right now. And um, how is your marketing? My question is, how has your marketing committee been? Because I think I don't know yours off the top of my head, but like, how has that been for you?
So I'm mostly in journalism right now. I'm working with Gabe Warner. Shout out to Gabe. And also pre-show entertainment, just because like he's also part of that group. I'm not necessarily like going to be a part of the pre-show entertainment, but I've been like helping them brainstorm, so that's really fun. So like they have some really cool activities that like if you guys show up early to see the show, they'll have some fun stuff.
Yeah, come
Um,
see our show early, and
it should be
really,
good.
that sounds
um, Along with that, pre-show entertainment is hopefully going to do some Q&A at the end of the show, so that like kids and adults and parents can like ask some questions about the cast and just
Yeah.
like talk to us about that. That should be fun.
Yeah.
But in terms of journalism, just like kind of doing this right now, I'm gonna interview some people and then write it so that people can get a bigger prospect of our show and see what it's about.
Cool. Yeah. I'm excited to see those. Speaking of marketing, go check out. I don't know where they would find that your
Oh, the
interview.
journalism piece.
Yes.
Oh yes, we will be sending that out. I think with the DSA newsletter.
Yeah. Go check that out. Our Instagram account is DSA 10 ways 2025 or 10 ways 2025. I think it is. 10 ways 2025. Yes, go follow our Instagram account, go and there will be a bunch of cool stuff posted there. I think there's going to be a bunch of cool poster art that was drawn by our own Willow Nuss that is actually so amazing. You've seen it, but it's so good. Me and Willow are both featured. I'm the 10th poster. So definitely go check that out. And then in our Instagram, our TikTok will be linked. We've been working on a lot for that. A lot of fun videos that you guys can see to meet, to say hi to all of us. And the podcast that you are listening to right now. There's so many more episodes. We interview a bunch of different members of the cast, like I am with Nicole right now. So definitely go check all of that out. Um, and then there's the pre-show entertainment that Nicole just mentioned. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, so go check all of that out. Um, I think that is all the questions I have for you, Nicole. If you have anything else that like you want to mention, that like basing off of anything, if you want to, any last things.
Not really. I'm just like those who are listening. Whether you're new to DSA or you've been here for a while, like come see our show. It's going to be amazing. You know, the more people who come, the better. We really want to share this with you. It's a really fun show, and it's meant to be
Yeah.
kind of a distraction and a spoof on all the craziness that has happened over
Yes.
quarantine. Yeah. And also to all the new kids who are listening, if you are, like, welcome to DSA. We're super excited to have you. Um, I am also new, and so next year, if we go in person and we like figure this out, we'll be like stumbling through this together. I am really excited. Like
Yeah.
we,
Watch out. Watch out for Nicole. Watch out for Nicole's William Shakespeare. I think she also does a William Shakespeare spoof with
yes.
her stuffed animals. So watch out for that. Watch out for her performance with what's your dog's name?
Um, the character is Safe Spare. Oh no, sorry, that's my other
What's your
character,
like your dog's name?
Cade. Fuzzball slash Cade. Yeah.
Cade. Okay, well watch out for Cade's appearance. And tune in next week. Check out all the social media. Check out Nicole's journalism piece. And thanks for tuning in, guys. Thank you, Nicole,
Of
for
course.
coming with me. But yeah, well, bye guys. Tune in next week. Yeah, peace.